I'm Gil. This is Burkland Gardens, and today we're at a wholesale nursery. Carry a wide range of plants, trees, shrubs, ground covers, just most anything for the landscape. So this is only open to landscapers and architects and designers and people in the trade. It's not a place that the average homeowner, would just be shopping for plants would go to. But these plants are available to me, and so a person like another nursery or a landscaper has availability to get these plants and put them into your landscape. They're high quality plants, and a lot of the plants, the conifers and maples, do come from Isley Nursery, but other places as well. Isley, one of the most well-known nurseries in the country, based in Boring, Oregon. So let's get started. We're going to start with the conifers that are the smaller 2 and 3 gallons. Some are 6 and 7, maybe even some 10 gallons in this group, but there's some golden yews here. Here's a particularly nice Cyanopodes, Japanese umbrella pine, and it is called propeller, getting its name because the needles around the stem curve and look like a bit of a propeller. So really nice plant and slow growing. Got a Hinoki cypress, a real miniature one. This is an Isley plant. It's called Just Dandy. Very flat, low growing to the ground. We've got some cryptomerias farther down the line. Juniper called Motherlode. That was an Isley introduction, and it once established, it has that really nice gold tone to it in the landscape. So we've got some columnar golden yews here. This particular one is it's a Texas baccata golden dwarf. And next to that, we've got a few more Hinokis, a flat growing one and another golden one. This one here, I'll call out the names because this one, anyway, it's I can't even pronounce the name on it, but it's a golden flat one. This one's called Confucius, nice upright, slender growing one. I'm not sure what we have here. Podocarpus. Usually, you don't see too many podocarpus. They're on the cusp of not being hardy in our area, but they do survive, and there's some pretty unusual. They have an unusual texture to the foliage. And this one here, just called Blue Gem, so it's a flat growing type. Another, so Isley has this is called Valley Cushion. It's one of their mugos that they put out, and they have their. This might be an Isley introduction as well. A nice, dense, slow-growing mugo pine. So that one and it might be 1 foot tall and 4 foot wide if it's really happy and as it gets to maturity. So looks like maybe this is a Banksiana pine. I have some of these already at inventory at our nursery, called Scudic. So Pinus Banksiana, jack pine, a bit of a contorted, congested, small needle. It's one of my favorite conifers. Some more valley cushions. Getting into another group of Hinoki cypress. And this one's called White Bud. So mugos have a waxy bud, and that can look like they have white buds at different times, and this one's particularly that way. So bugles work well in the landscape. They can act as ground covers or just specimen plants. So great, great little plant. Something for a columnar look. These work well in pots or and anchoring a walkway, one on each side. Just different ways. You could use them as a hedge, but these here are quite narrow, so it doesn't work as well as a hedge because you'd have to use so many of them. But this particular yew is it's the Japanese plum yew. Now we'll move back to the aisle and look at a few more mugo pines, and then start going down the aisle and looking at some other things. This mugo is called slow mound. It's produced in pretty good numbers. It takes the mugos in general take shearing. You can shear them and prune them and keep them more dense, and it works for mugo pines to do that. So you can have a nice dense habit, but this will make a great low shrub in the landscape, like all the mugos. But it is one of the favored ones in a lot of landscapes. Very well behaved. Colorado blue spruce, moved to that, and just a dwarf globe version. Nice color on that. Got some Pinus sylvestris here. I think it's Albin's prostrate. It could be hillside creeper, but probably it's Albin prostrate. Very similar to hillside creeper in that they stay low and flat. They might mound up to a foot or two. You can stake them for a little bit of height if you want a little bit of height on one of them. The color's nice. It's kind of a gray blue. It's slow growing, and it'll take up an area eventually, 10 by 10 and even larger in a longer period of time. More of the plum yews. Cephalotaxis is this one here, just that columnar one. So Cryptomeria black dragon. This gets to be quite a large tree. It does grow 6 to 8 inches a year, so it probably has been sheared at some point to make it more dense. You can do that in your landscape as well, but it'll just become a nice dense tree in the landscape. Something that you would plant on if you have a large property or on the edge of your property and not close to the house. It'll get quite large. So I'm going to be putting a few more of these into my nursery. It's a Hinoki cypress called Fowl, and you can see how congested and the foliage is, and the tones of green, light and dark. Just a great little nursery. This was an Isley introduction. And then we've got, so pretty sure this is, so this is one, I'm gonna get one of these. This is called Firefly. It's a smaller version of the Skylands Oriental spruce. And so if you have, Skylands will get large over time. Firefly much slower. It was a sport off of Skyland, so it's pretty nice plant. Looks like a Bosnian pine here. This one's Irish bell. The ones that I've always had in the landscape, really old ones, even 30, 35 years old. They're about 15 to 20 feet tall, and as the name implies, they have a bell-shaped to the plant that is really pleasing in the landscape, and always a nice dark green color. Thelum blue, Deodorus cedar, just a nice tones of blue and a dense plant that will cover a space in the landscape. So a few other Bosnian pines. I'm going to say this one's Banderica. Banderica, Schmidt is the one I'm most familiar with. This one um, at the garden size, which is more like a 15-year size. That's the way Isley rates them, 4 foot by 3 foot. So fairly, it's not miniature, but slow growing and really nice. Looks like some more mugos. This one's called mops. There's a whole row of these, couple rows of them. Sherwood compacta, I've mentioned that many times because I've always carried that one. It's a great plant. I think out of the mugo pines, it's probably one of the, should be in the top 5 as a desirable mugo pine. Nice dark green color. These are, I mean, they're just, every one of them has just tiny little cones on it too. This one, I'm not familiar with. Looks like it might be another podocarpus, just looking at the foliage. So it's a Cephalotaxis, which is that what you see it on the tag, Max? So a plum pine. Okay, that's a common name. So it is a, yeah, podocarpus. Okay. Moving on to a few spruces. We got a globose pimlico. I sold a very large one at the nursery just a couple of weeks ago. Nice silvery look. Serbian spruce. Serbian spruces have that silver underside of the needle, so that's a real nice feature of those. So a few more golden hinokis. I'm going to point out mini twists, uh, Pinus strobus back there. I put 2 into the nursery here just the other day because I sold my really big one. Some of these. So this is a western red cedar. They call it a whipcord type, and you can see how the foliage just looks like a whipcord. So there's quite unusual as far as the foliage goes, and probably not. I've had one before. It's just not my favorite, but it is really unusual, and some people might really like it. So more Colorado blue spruces, Cummins. So growing flat on the ground, it might mound up over a period of time to a foot to 2 feet as it grows. So we've got a few firs back in this area. Got a few spruces. Got some nice icebreakers. 6 of them right here in 5-gallon containers. And if you've watched me before, you know that's one of my favorite plants. Another, this one's called Piccolo. It's a balsam fir. Pretty slow growing, just 1 to 2 inches a year would be their growth rate. Another This one's called Thunderhead, a Japanese black pine. That one's one of the most common slow-growing miniature black pines, and doesn't get largest, and it is somewhat flat-growing. Doesn't put out a definite leader. That Max is checking it out for the the trunk, because he never know what might make a bonsai someday. Probably a silverlock Korean fir, and that's what this is. The ones in my landscape, I have two of them, and they're well over 20 years old. They're about 12 feet tall. They'll get 12 to 15, of course, keep growing, but give you that nice silver look. In their youth, they're kind of irregular, but they develop into a nice conical plant, and so it's pretty nice. There's a nice group of conifers here. You kind of see them more in the background. We're going to touch on a few more of them. More spruces. We've got some cryptomerias. I'll check that out. More Bosnian pines. That one I've never had. This Bosnian pine. It's called Indigo Eyes. That probably appeals to you, huh? check it out.
Low branching.
Yeah, we'll we might want to come back to that one in a little bit. So here's another Korean fir that's produced by Isley quite a bit, and it's called CIS, CIS. Okay, and just another miniature Korean fir that stays very, very compact. So, and has a bit of a silvery tone to it. Mr. Bowling Ball. This one you can shear up very nicely. It makes a nice ground cover. Turns a bronze tone in the wintertime, and has a really nice green tone in the summer, throughout the summer. And you can keep these a foot and a half or so tall. They won't go tall anyway, but it's just a way of keeping it very, very neat looking. This one's it's a hemlock, probably Gench white. Let's see there's a number of the white ones. It is Gench white. So you can see the white foliage on the tips of the needles. Shrub-like and very, very nice plant. Looks like another. So another. Did you catch the name on that one, Max?
Yeah.
Is it Arakawa or something? Oh, Fukuzumi. Kind of a curly needle, Japanese white pine with an irregular habit. It has a bit of a windswept look to it. So it's a pretty slow growing one, and you can keep it even more compact by removing some of the, pruning out some of the longer shoots. So here's a nice little balsam fir, very compact one. These are in 10-gallon pots, so you can tell how slow growing they are. It's just called Nana. Just means it's slow growing. That's like not an official name, but that's what's called here, and a whole group of these back here. So these kind of caught my eye. I think these are the blues. They're Colorado blue spruce. Double check the label. Make sure I have it right. It is the blues. So the blues, you have to stake it for any height, and usually you stake it to about 3 or 4 feet, or whatever height you want it. And it's hard to get it much over that 5-foot mark with a sturdy stake. And then it'll create this nice little wall with all the branches hanging down, and the color is just outstanding. There's a very nice specimen in the Oregon garden down in Silverton, Oregon. And Oregon Garden has a conifer reference garden. If you're ever in that area, you should stop in. They have a beautiful garden there for with many other plants as well, but their conifer garden is really, really nice.